is Sheryl Turner, and I'm with REL Southeast, and very happy to welcome you in here to this breakout session. We have with us as our presenter Dr. Marcia Kosanovich, and I think some of the information you're going to hear from her today will be of great interest to you. Let me ask a question as we're getting ready, right before it turns to 12:30. How many of you in here are classroom teachers? All right. Leadership at the school? All right. Leadership in other organizations? So we've got a nice mix. All right. This is good. Did I miss an entity? Okay. That's good information for Marcia. So let me go ahead and get started with some of the information you're going to hear again in the next breakout session. We are the Ready family. We're looking at how to make a child ready for school. And of course, we know that there, as was mentioned by the panel and by our presenter this morning, there are a lot of complicated reasons why a child would be or would not be ready. And so one of the things that we want to focus on today in this particular breakout is how the family plays a role. So with that in mind, you saw this earlier with Dr. Pat and Terry, and this is just our disclaimer information. One thing that was mentioned earlier on is that as part of the REL Southeast, we created 4 infographics, and they are online. They're available free, of course, and the infographics themselves have links. So when you go in, if you click on the link, you should be able to get to the resource that it's talking about. So while you have information there about all 4, we're going to share a little bit of information about the Ready family, which is one of the 4. If you are not an electronic person, you're a paper and pencil person, we also have the actual links here that you could type into. So one thing to mention about the Ready family is that a Ready family has responsibilities. Many do this better than others. Something that, as was mentioned in the panel, there are a lot of resources to help families, first of all, know what they can do to help their students, their children get ready, and then also help teach them how to do it. And so we're going to focus on 3 pieces. Again, it's a very complicated issue, but these 3 certainly have a lot of research behind them as being very effective and making great impacts on whether or not a child is ready. The first one is a family supports their students' learning by preparing them for kindergarten. The next one is a breakout because it is such a vital piece, and that is that they read to their children. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the third one maintains a positive home-to-school connection, whether it be at their daycare or their preschool or when they're getting into kindergarten. So the first one, and again, each of these are on the infographic in certain sections, and they have resources there available at each of these. So the first one is encouraging pre-literacy skills, including speaking, listening, and thinking. And Dr. Kosanovich is going to talk a little bit about each of these as she shares some of her work that she's been doing. But those pre-literacy skills are important. I think Nicole, Pat, and Terry talked earlier about from prenatal to birth to 5 years old, there are many things you can do. The commercial that she shared, where it talked about those positive, loving words that are spoken to the students, that's what we're talking about. Also, the parents teach routines to their child so that when they transition to kindergarten, they are ready. It could be anything from routines that have to do with social emotional, has to do with just some of those very small pieces that make a really big impact. And again, we have the resources here that you can look at. The Ready family, again, reads to the child daily. And I'm not going to speak too much more about that because that's a large portion of what Dr. Kosanovich is going to share. And then the third one, again, provide a positive, literacy-rich environment. Have a lot of books and picture books around the house. Have a lot of discussion about the books. A lot of looking at signs as we drive down the street. You know what's very interesting is a child learns very quickly what those golden arches are. So it's very important to recognize that and help the students learn that. Provide opportunities to practice the skills that they're taught at school. Whatever is being taught at school, help them with those practices at home. And then the last one, stay connected to the school. I used to teach in an elementary school that was low income, very low parent involvement. And what we found out was their incidences of examples of school were very negative, and therefore they kind of were nervous about coming back into that same negative arena. So we have to reach out and find ways to make that more positive, have our families feel welcome and volunteering. So with that in mind, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to give Dr. Kosanovich the wand.
Great, thank you, Sheryl. And thank all of you for coming here today and spending your whole day here to learn more about how we can help children be ready for kindergarten and for all the work that you do every day. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the infographic that Sheryl talked about. And there are two parts on there that I wanted to go a little deeper about. And one is reading, so reading to your child. And everything we talked about this morning, read to your child, talk to your child, all that was music to my ears. Because I am a former pre-K teacher, I have 3 children, so I know how important that the role that the family plays, and it doesn't have to be mom and dad, it can be grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, older brother. There's a big age difference in my 3 children, so older brother does a lot reading with the younger ones. So, so all that this morning was really, really music to my ears. So the first one is reading together. Why do we want families to read with their children? Well, it helps improve their oral language, it helps improve their vocabulary, and we know that once they start reading in the conventional sense, when they get to school and start learning how to read, the more vocabulary words you know, the better you're going to be able to comprehend what you read. So all those oral language skills are really, really important to develop before they turn 5. I remember when my kids were little, it was like I narrated my whole life. You know, you're emptying the dishwasher and the kids eat these Cheerios in the high chair. This is a blue bowl. This bowl is bigger than this bowl. And you're putting away the dishes. I mean, at first you kind of feel silly, but then it just becomes part of your life. You just kind of narrate what you do. You talk about your experiences. You ask kids, you know, what was your favorite part about whatever you just did. At the grocery store, you look at different fruit. This is a banana. This is an orange. I wonder which one weighs more. I mean, just every opportunity there is to help that child learn vocabulary, help them engage in conversations, is going to help that child be ready for kindergarten. So I have a video here, an example of a mom reading to her son at home. So as you watch this video, I want you to think about some of the things, some of the conversations that they have, because I'm going to ask you some questions afterwards. So think about how the mom engages the son in conversations.
The title of this book is Bear Says Thanks. Thanks. There you go.
Let me copy.
I know. I love these red books.
This is nice.
All alone in his cave, Bear listened to the wind. He is bored, 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 and he misses his friends. What does it mean when you're bored?
It means like you have nothing to do.
Yeah. Can't think of anything to do, just sitting there. You're right. I could make a big dinner, a feast I could share. But he looks through his cupboard, and the cupboard is bare. So,
Bear?
I know. So this bear doesn't mean that like the animal. This bear means his cupboards are empty. Okay? So when he looked in his cupboards, they were what?
Bear.
And what's another word for empty? Bare. Then Mouse stops by with a huckleberry pie, and the bear says, thanks. Bear says, goodness me, a delectable pie. But I have made nothing, he adds with a sigh. Delectable. That's a big word.
Delectable.
Say delectable.
Delectable.
Yeah, you know what that means? If something's delectable, it might be really, really, in this case, delicious. Tastes really good. Okay, let's put this one over here. We'll do that one another time later, okay? But I have made nothing, he adds with a sigh. So what's delectable mean, remember?
It means it's really
Really, really good, really, really, in this case, the pie is delicious and tastes yummy. Okay, Badger, he's got even more. What's Badger bringing?
fish.
That's right, Badger's bringing fish. Say Badger's bringing fish.
Just bringing fish.
Stutters, and he wears a big frown. He sighs and he moans and he plops himself down. You have brought yummy treats. You are so nice to share, but me, I have nothing. My cupboards are bare.
Again.
Yeah.
Bear.
Yes. Why does the bear feel sad?
His covers are all bad. And his friends are giving him all the food.
That's right. He feels sad because his friends are bringing all this food, and his cupboards are bare, empty. He doesn't have anything to share. Mouse squeaks, don't fret. There's enough, dear bear. You don't need any food. You have stories to share. His friends hug him tight. It'll be all right. And the bear says,
Thanks.
that's right. So what's bear going to share?
Look.
What's that?
Fish.
Oh my goodness. What are they doing with the fish?
Cooking them.
Cooking the fish. So what is bear going to share? Since he doesn't have any food in his cupboards, what's he going to share instead of food? Mouse squeaks, don't fret. There's enough, dear bear. You don't need any food. You have stories to share.
Oh, shush.
Yeah, he's going to share stories. They pass around platters. They tweet and they chatter. What's a platter? Pass around platters. A
Like
platter.
food.
Yeah, but the plate that the food sits on is a platter. If you have a big plate and you put food on it, the plate is the platter. So they pass around platters, they tweet and they chatter. And they all say, thanks. Which one's your favorite character in this book?
Raven.
You like Raven? Say my favorite character is Raven.
My favorite character is Raven.
Why do you like Raven?
Because he's black and he can fly.
He can fly. Bet you'd like to fly. All right, thanks, Beth. Proud of you for practicing reading.
All right, so what are some of the things that happen to help with vocabulary?
I like the way that she was able to reinforce in using full sentences versus just one-word answers, but getting them to repeat back what he said.
And that's, once someone tells you to do that, it's a pretty simple thing to do, right? But just being aware that it's really important to get the child to try and speak in complete sentences. Yeah. What else? Yeah.
When he said, I think it was tanks instead of thanks, she had him repeat the word to say it correctly.
Right. The TH wasn't quite there. Thanks.
So thinking of the word bear as an empty, right? So they use that word, I think 5 times just in that context, right? So using it in different ways, repeat it, what does it mean? Coming back to it, what does that mean?
So by the end of that book, I think he knew what bear, B-A-R-E meant. That's right.
Even taking time to explain the vocabulary throughout.
So it was a pretty long video, so thank you for hanging there with me. But I just think the nature of this, it's called dialogic reading. You know, that's what teachers call it. But parents don't have to call it dialogic reading. It's just talking while you read. So as you read a story, I mean, you could do this with just a picture book. It doesn't have to have words. You can talk about the pictures, look at the pictures and point to things. You know, what is this? Well, what do you think we use this for? And so having those conversations while you read a book and just simply teaching parents or grandparents or older brothers and sisters how to ask those WH questions. What, where, when, why, and how, which isn't WH, but So teaching our families that as you're looking at a book or reading a book with your child, just talk about it, have these conversations, and show a 4-minute video and just to sort of model that for them. Okay. So another thing, one thing that we're developing at the REL Southeast is tools for teachers to help them support families and what they can do with their children at home to help with foundational reading skills. So this is just an example of a bookmark for, when I read to you. These are just hints to families of what they can do with their child. So for example, read to your child every day. You fit it in anytime. Bedtime is my favorite time to fit it in, but any time that you can fit in reading to your child, do it. Read about things your child is interested in and enjoys, or maybe something they're worried about. That always engages them. If they're worried about something and you can talk about it and read about it in a book, that's always helpful. Read at the same pace that you talk. So, you don't have to say to families, read fluently. Just read at the same pace that you talk. And give the characters some expression. If the little boy is mad in the book, then act like you're mad. If they're excited, then use your voice and be excited. So just teaching families how to do that. Reread those books that your children enjoy. How many of you have children? How many of you remember Goodnight Moon or reading a book? Right, yeah, Brummer, over and over. And frankly, you're just sick of it, right? But they love it, and it's so good to just keep reading that to them. And they join in, right? So they feel like they're reading, and they may be 4 years old or 3 years old. So that's a really good thing to do. Explain some of the words that your child doesn't understand, as you saw in the video. And read different types of things. You can read fairy tales, informational books. Informational books are great things to read with children because they're learning about the world. Poems, books that tell a story, any kind of different genres that you have to put your hands on, read with your kids. And it's okay to read books that are too difficult for them to read, obviously, because you're reading to them and you're trying to build their oral language skills as you talk about the book. So this is one, when I read to you, this is a much shorter video, it's only 2 minutes. So we'll watch this one, and this is a bedtime, reading at bedtime. So think about, what the mom does to engage her son.
This is my favorite time of day. We get to go to bed and read books. What about you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? All right, the title of this book is Book. There's an exclamation mark right there. So do I say book? Or do I say book? Or do I say book? Book! That's right. My gift is flat and square. Rip that paper, what's in there? Book! Oh, what's a gift? A present, that's right. You got a present, a book for a present. I like the way you open. I can turn your pages by myself. I like the way you close. I can put you on my shelf. I can read you to the cat. Do you read books to your cat? Sometimes. Or upside down. I can't read that upside down. Or maybe wear you like a hat. I'll take you on a wagon ride to my secret place. What's that cat doing?
Attacking.
The cat is attacking
Yeah, we go in the string. The string.
the string. What do you think that is?
Cloth. A blanket.
I think it's his blanket. The cat is attacking the blanket where both of us can hide. After that, we'll find an empty lap before I take my nap. We'll read you warm and snug, book. I'll give you a hug, book. Open wide, look inside.
Book.
Is it book or is it book? Book!
So what did you notice during that short read aloud? How did the mom engage her son in conversation?
She was like she was fun. Like it wasn't like a chore to be reading to her child. It was, even if she's exhausted from the day, like she's pulling out just silliness
Yeah.
and making it fun.
She was acting out, like putting the book on his head like a hat, like so he can make those connections.
All right. And did you notice she threw in a little exclamation mark?
Oh, yeah.
A little teaching in there, right? Okay, last one. Thank you for bearing with me. This one is, does that make sense? So what the family, the parent, the older brother, sister could do is, as you're reading along, you make a mistake on purpose. So you misread a word on purpose, and you kind of get a reaction from the child, right? So if they're listening and they're understanding the book, then they'll laugh, or they'll say what, or they'll ask you a question. So this is called Does That Make Sense? It's just a strategy that you can. It's a pretty easy strategy, and it's fun too. So let's see how they do this.
All right, this one's called Just Grandma and Me. Where do you think they're going?
To the beach.
To the beach. They're going to the beach. I wanted to set up the beach umbrella, but the wind was too strong. Yikes, what's happening? What's the wind doing?
I'm blowing the tin away. Thing. The umbrella.
The umbrella, that's right. It's blowing the umbrella away. I flew my kite instead. I bought hot dogs for Grandma and me, but they fell in the sand, so I wished them off. I wished them off. Does that make sense?
No.
Let me go back and check that. So I washed them off. That makes more sense. That's gross, actually. You gonna wash your hot dogs off in the ocean? No. I wanted to blow up my seahorse, but I didn't have enough air, so Grandma helped a little.
A little.
A little? Do you think she helped a little? What do you think she did?
Blew the whole thing off.
She blew the whole thing up. All right. I told Grandma to make me way out in the deep water. That doesn't make sense.
Take me.
I told Grandma to take me way out in the deep water, but not too far. We had a good time at the park.
You mean the beach?
Oh my goodness, that doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna go back and try again. We had a good time at the beach, just Grandma and me.
So what are some strategies there to get the child engaged in the book and the conversation? Intentional mistakes, right? Making a mistake. And you could tell he was paying attention, right? Because he either laughed or he caught it, right? So that's a fun one that we can teach families to do. So now I want to change gears a little bit. So that was about what we can do in terms of reading at home. And now another part of the infographic for the Ready family includes teacher resources. And I want to share with you a resource that the REL Southeast is developing in partnership with the states that we support, which are the 6 southeastern states, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi. And Sheryl is the manager of our Southeast School Readiness Partnership. So we have educators from each of those states, from the state level, on our partnership. And we're developing professional learning community materials for preschool teachers, all about literacy, okay? We know that there's everything else is important, but this particular tool is for preschool teachers and how to teach literacy effectively in your preschool classroom. And so the whole goal of this is to support the preschool teachers in applying evidence-based strategies through collaborative learning experiences for 3 to 5-year-old kids. So I just want to share with you, it's under development. There will be a facilitator guide. So a facilitator will actually, it's almost like a planning book, a teacher guide for that facilitator to work with teachers. So the facilitator will have everything he or she needs to work with teachers in this collaborative way. There's also a participant guide, so all the teachers, the pre-K teachers who participate in these sessions will have a guide, and there's also classroom-based videos. So live preschool classrooms working with children, demonstrating these types of strategies and evidence-based practices that we want preschool teachers to be using. This is a quick overview of the sessions that we're developing. So there'll be 4 modules. The first one is print knowledge, the second one is phonological awareness, and the third one is vocabulary, and the last one is oral language. So there'll be those 4 modules, and then each module will have 3 sessions. So 12 sessions overall. And then this is just an example of what the facilitator will have. The facilitator will have slides to help guide each session, speaker notes so they know what to focus on. The videos will also have key points about the videos. So as you're having your discussions with your teachers, you'll know exactly which key points, if it's not brought out in that discussion in that session, you'll know which key points to actually focus on. The facilitator guide includes a 5-step process for each session, discussion questions, small group activities, whole group activities. And then this is just an example. The facilitator has a slide and speaker notes. And then the participants in their guide, they actually have content to read between each session. So a little bit of homework to read to get them prepared for that next session. So they have content to read. They also have, within a session, they're encouraged to look at their pre-K standards focused on literacy. There are collaborative hands-on activities that they do during each session. There are videos that they watch between and during sessions, and they have video viewing guides to help them process and discuss what they're seeing in the videos. Hands-on experience sharing opportunities, lesson plan examples and templates, reflection questions for discussion, reproducible materials. So the participant guide is packed with a lot of great information, and that's what the teacher uses as he participates in each of the sessions. So as I mentioned, we're developing this tool with school leadership, the school readiness partnership that Sheryl manages. And at the end, when this tool is developed and finished, we're going to have a train-the-trainer. So the REL Southeast will train state-level folks and whoever they want to bring to this training on how to facilitate these sessions. So we'll give them the materials, we'll walk them through a 2-day training session so they can go back to their states and train more facilitators. So hopefully the goal is that each state will have a cadre of facilitators who then go and work with teachers on these sessions. Okay. We're good. So with that, we have questions.
I was gonna say questions.
Yeah, that Sheryl can answer.
Either of us can answer.
Are these resources available in Spanish?
That's a great question. At this time, they're not even available yet, but maybe that might be a next step that we can talk about doing. It not as of yet, but I appreciate the question. We'll talk about that next step.
But obviously with federal requirements, they'll have to have, what is it called? That Nathan does, the
Oh, yeah.
ADA. Thank you. Somebody knows better than I do. Thank you. But yeah, we have not yet had that decision for Spanish. And if Marcia didn't say they're going to be free, yes, they're with federal.
Online, free. Anyone can use them. I saw a hand.
What's the,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, just to follow up on the Spanish, we're finding more and more families that are coming into the country that want to figure out how to help their children. They're coming very educated and because of reasons, and giving them resources, and they always feel like they can't help their child in their native language, which is not true. So if there really is a need to have things like that in Spanish even more, just because they want to do things with their kids, they really do, and just having, and for them to feel it's okay to help them in their own language, you know, because that just translates into
The language, they still need to know what the words mean in order to read it.
I think that'll be a good next step for this project.
What's the timeline for release on some of these? And how will the announcement go out?
The timeline is.
We won't hold you to it.
Okay. Yeah, but it's video recording, so. The timeline is in the summer, not the summer of 2020, 2021 is when we'll have the facilitator training. So they'll be ready that year, 2021, they'll be released. And they release on the IES website, the Institute for Educational Sciences website.
And that's one of the reasons, quite honestly, why we are putting out ancillary materials in the meantime, such as these 4 infographics with resources. We've also got an audio file of discussions about the importance of PLCs and how to utilize those. And we've got some infographics coming specific to that too.
Additional ideas for putting books into the hands of families to support early literacy. So I know there's Dolly Parton's Imagination.
Yes, that's great. Great question. So how do we get books into households? I'll start with some ideas, but I know a lot of you in the room probably have more ideas. So the Dolly Parton has an organization. Those are free too.
Yes.
You just sign up on the website and get books sent right to your house.
You have to pay a match.
Yeah.
So like, for example, I don't know if Hillsborough County is doing this, but they would do matching funds, and then it would be free to families.
It used to be by zip code, so I know that like my zip code was part of it in Hillsborough County, but not every zip code was part of it. So.
Okay.
Well, and she just, I know when my daughter was going through that program, my zip code was too, and getting the books, and then they sent a letter that they're no longer doing that, and the books were online.
Oh.
So it was such a blessing to our family to have those books, because my daughter found the love of reading early on, from the day she was born. So, I mean, we use them, so I didn't know if there's still something out there other than online that would do that same.
Right.
Because
digital resources are wonderful, but it's not the same as having that physical print.
Right.
And not everybody has access.
Yeah. So along the lines of digital, and then we'll go back to the hard copy print, but Gutenberg, have you heard the Gutenberg project? Gutenberg has a lot of free, it's online though, free children's books that you can download. And then, the apps that are out there, there are a lot of free apps out there that have books that you can download. But in terms of getting real books in the hands, I think about, if you have a few books at home, could you trade with your neighbors? Could you trade with your cousins? And could you, just trade books, because that's a way to get more books in the home. And you know what, frankly, I go to yard sales and I buy books. That's how I built, when I was a teacher, that's how I built my library. I would go into other teachers' classrooms, I'm like, my first year teaching, how did they get this library full of books? I have like 5 books. But it just grows, so that's another idea. I saw a hand.
Yeah, I don't know if we're talking about classroom libraries or getting it in the hands of families, but where I teach, I know that we partner with the Junior League of Tampa, and they come in. We recently had a science night, and they had each student was able to pick 3, and they weren't used books; they were brand new books, and the impact of that was huge. Like, already our 5th graders are buzzing and talking, and we had kids walking down the hallways touching it, going, oh my God, it's shiny. So some of our students, hand-me-down books are fabulous, but there's a big difference between a hand-me-down book and a book that's brand new. So that was one partnership that we've done. Also, sororities are another great way, and then also some of the teachers in our school, they have husbands or significant others that teach at higher SES schools. And so those PTAs and things, when parents or children are done with books, let's say from the Scholastic Fair that they bought, and the book is hardly used, we have a free table also. So they get 3 brand new books, and then they can go to the free table, and we have shopping bags, take as many books as you want. So those are just some other ideas to get books into.
And Marcia, I got a couple that are Hillsborough specific since I live here in Tampa. So for example, nationally, the Reading is Fundamental RIF program, schools can partner with Reading is Fundamental, and I was a Reading is Fundamental chairperson at our school, and we were able to give students 3 free books a year. So that's something, and I'm sure pre-Ks can do that as well. Another piece you just mentioned about someone being at the higher SES schools, we know that libraries, I'm not sure about Hillsborough County, but some of our surrounding districts, they're required to thin out their library every so many years, and you can petition the district to allow those books to, instead of going to that school's students, perhaps going to lower socioeconomic. And then also a third piece that just kind of came into my mind as well, when we're looking at books and you know, the difference between pulling them off the internet and the real book to have in your hand. Here, and I have a couple people in here who are part of this network. One of the folks in my office is part of the children's group here that's working with the zoo, several different social areas here, and they put together, for example, the once a year at the zoo, free to our pre-K students and our actually I think it's 2 to 5 year olds, and they give out free books when they go to that free day at the zoo every year. And is there anyone here who's from that group that knows more about it than I do? Darn it. Okay. But that's part of the network that the Children's Board and all the different museums and zoo and aquarium and all of those folks get together. So.
There's First Book.
Yeah, firstbook.org is awesome.
So First Book, I know at least once a year they give away free books to everybody. At least once a year, and then you can purchase books from them at a lower price. But that's about all I know. I just know I've gotten free books a couple of times.
You can purchase boxes of books for them and just pay the cost of shipping.
Yeah.
So if a school site wanted to purchase like 38 copies of this one title and pay $20 for shipping, they can do that.
It's what they have. It's what they have.
You know I have an account as an educator who works at a low-income school, so I'm not sure. But their goal is to get books into the hands of low-income students in so I don't know if they have an early literacy component.
I'm with the Early Learning Coalition, and 3 years ago, the Liking Foundation gave us the foundation to build our book garden. So we are the BPK. Every child that walks in with a parent, we are giving them a book. And from there, foundations, we've across the nation, we've been reaching out. California, special times of the year, we've been able to acquire probably 10,000 books for minimal amount. So we've been kind of searching and building our, we call it the book garden. The book garden. And we build the lobby and for our families to kind of come in. They actually go to a little tree and pick their books and they can walk out. So United Way has been able to partner with us too. So it's something that we have a development director that she really uses that, but it's just grown from there.
Yeah, so families in this area, where
Hillsborough
would they
County,
go?
whoever's applying for voluntary pre-kindergarten, whoever's applying for school readiness, at the Early Learning Coalition, the Family Services area has a book garden that we give out books.
So they have to come to, they have to come there?
Yes. But we do have partnerships. I've taken them out to several social services entities. The Early Childhood Council has been screening around the community. I've given out to migrant program, at this special event. So I go and I deliver champions for children. It's part of building, bringing ELC out more into the community. Because
You mentioned Champions for Children, you give to Layla's house and all of those.
we're working through that. Yes, it's like it's taking life of its own, basically. So right now, even DACA is asking, the Judicial Court 13 is asking us as well for books. So we're kind of figuring out and putting everything in place to start getting out the books.
And then once they're in the home, we have to make sure they're accessible to the kids that, are like this. So put them on places,
Yes.
coffee table or whatever, where they can.
So we learned from one of our partners that they're creating mini book gardens. That's what they're calling it.
Yeah.
So it's something that one of the director is really working. Says that they want the books to kind of, if the family's at risk, especially, so use that as an area to kind of create that soft area.
Thank you for sharing that.
So this is back to online, but there's a great app called Rivet, R-I-V-E-T.
R-I-V
is in T. V is in Victor.
V is in Victor, E-T, Rivet.
And it's free, and it's designed for K2, kindergarten through second grade. So I'm sure preschool, pre-K can be kind of lumped in there with that kindergarten level. There's 6 different levels, and they're high quality books. And although it's on an app, it does like the page turn, so it kind of still at least has a little bit of that feel, but they're good high quality books.
Thank you, that's great. I knew you would all have better ideas than this.
We have bookworks coming to Head Start.
Okay.
And we have like a librarian. She come in and read stories to all of the kids, and
That's the book bus.
they bring.
That's the book bus.
She's one of our partners too.
And speaking of the library here at Hillsborough County Public Library, has summer programs where they have the students come in and they have story time, they have activities, literacy activities, and all that as well.
The Sunder's Library come to Lock Along. Right.
Any other questions, other areas? I do recommend as you go to your next session and you learn about another one of the infographics and their resources, just remember there's actually a total of 4. So just because you're only going to 2 today, make sure you look at the other 2 areas and pull those resources. And the Regional Educational Laboratory Southeast is your lab. So if you have any questions, please contact me for the School Readiness Partnership or Marcia for the knowledge.
Thank you so much.